Welcome to EX2 homepage pick for CSC 230. We're just going to be working on putting a little thumbnail picture of ourselves that we can put on our homepage. It's just going to be a little tiny one, little thumbnail, barely 100 pixels wide, so it doesn't have to be a very big photo. And we're actually going to edit the photo using a free utility called Pixlr, which is online, so you don't have to use Photoshop, you don't have to use Paint or anything else. You just have to find a picture of yourself somewhere. And I even took a picture of myself to use for this, and it's not very flattering either, so you don't have to feel embarrassed when you put a picture of yourself up there either. Plus, for our class, that way people get to know who everybody is, since not everybody knows each other in the class, and it's nice to put a face with a name. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go online, and again, this is what we're going to try to put it to the right side of your home page here. And what I'm going to do is go online to Pixlr, and it's Pixlr, not with an E in it, so it'll be Pixlr, and I have a link of it on e-learning, but it's pixlr.com, and if you go there, you'll see this screen come up and called Pixlr, and there's a couple choices. It has Pixlr Express or Pixlr Editor, and we're going to use Pixlr Editor. It's going to be almost like Photoshop. It's very Photoshop-like, and I'm going to launch it, but except it works in your browser, which is nice, and it's free. So I'm going to open an image from a computer because I took a picture. I had someone take a picture of me. So I'm going to open that picture up where it says Open Image from Computer. And let's see where I have it. I have it in my, I think they went into my Pictures folder. So let me go open one up. I think it's this one. Just had a picture of me just sitting in front of a bookcase. Nothing really fantastic to look at. So let me open that up in Pixlr. You could open up from images on your on your hard drive. You can open up from other pictures on the web, and I guess when my son took this, he took it upside down with my phone. So I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to go into Image. Just like in Photoshop, they have the same menu here. I'm going to go to Image and say Rotate Canvas 180, and that'll fix that. And then what I'm also going to do, there's a couple ways to do this, and I'm going to use the crop tool to start. And I usually use a marquee and then crop it, but you could use the crop tool. You could just kind of draw a like cropping area around that, and we could crop it more. So I'm just going to get started. I just want a headshot, so I'm going to just use this cropping tool, and it gives you kind of a little preview grid to kind of work with to start. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And then if you hit return, it'll crop it for you. And that's pretty much what I want, is just a headshot in front of the bookcase there. So I'll hit return, and there's my headshot. And you can see I'm at 15%. I could zoom in, and I'm actually using my mouse to kind of zoom in and out on here. You could put percentages down here. If it was at 100%, you can see it's a pretty big photo. It's regular resolution on the phone. So I'll zoom out. I don't want to see my face that big. So I'll zoom out here. And I might crop it a little bit more, and I'll show you how else you can crop it. You could use the marquee tool, which just makes a selection. You could just make like a closer selection around here. And with the marquee tool, as long as you stay on that tool, you could move the selection around a little bit. It's harder to resize the selection. That's why the crop tool is nice. But I'm just going to use this and just kind of zoom in just a little bit more. I have some kind of web books behind me there. And then I'll do image crop. And there's my face shot. And one thing I'll do, I'll zoom in here, even though I hate to zoom in. I'm going to zoom into my teeth. One thing you might want to do, I mean, my teeth aren't too bad, but on the photograph, they look a little on the yellower side. So I'm going to whiten them up. And I'm going to use the lasso tool, which is also in Photoshop. I'll use the lasso tool. And they have one that works like a polygonal lasso tool. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correct, but like a polygon, so you could use straight lines. It's just easier to go around. And what you can do is you just click, kind of like using the pen tool in Illustrator. I'm just going to click around here and just kind of straight lines. I don't have to, paint. And I'm just trying to get the teeth. And I'll go around my teeth here. And I almost need to like fix some of those rough edges too, and I'll just click. I won't double click at the end. I'll just click once. And now my teeth are selected. And what I could do is I could go in here and go to Image, or actually in Photoshop I would do that. I actually want to go to Adjustment, Levels, and I'll go in here, and a little trick to make whiter teeth is actually to go to the blue channel and increase the blue. because that cools it down. So I'm going to increase the blue channel just a little bit, and it makes it a little bluish, which is okay. Just a little bit. That kind of counteracts the yellow. See, if I took it down, it would make it real yellow. If I wanted to make my teeth look like corn or something, I could move it down. So I'll just add a little bit of, I'll just highlight the blue channel that's in there, and then I'll go back to the RGB channel and just lighten up everything a little bit. And I don't want to, bleach out my teeth completely. Just to give them a little kick, and I'll hit OK. And then if you go back, you could kind of look at a before and after. You can see now, I have the marquee there. It's a little harder to see, but you could see it's a little, it's a lot whiter. And I could click with my marquee and deselect. Now I'll zoom back out again. Now one thing I didn't do, I wanted to do this first before I did the teeth, but another thing I'm going to do with this picture, it's a little dark in the shadows, and they don't have a shadows highlight like in Photoshop in this Pixlr application. But I'm going to go to adjustment levels again, and you can do a lot with levels. And you may have worked with the input levels. The way these work is they have the darks, the highlights, and the midtones that you can work with. And if you adjust the highlights, it's going to lighten everything lighter and make it lighter and eventually bleach it out. The midtones will just hit the midtones like the face. But you can't lighten the darks. But that's why you could go down here and you can actually lighten the darks a little bit. Bring up the darks just a little bit. I'll maybe bring them up to 10. And then I'll just lighten up a little bit. I don't need much. I just want to lighten it up. Only because I know I'm working on a Mac right now, and I know on other computers it's probably going to come out a little more darker and contrasty. So I tend to compensate and make it a little lighter than it's going to be. Now I don't want to bleach it out, but I just want to make everything a little less contrasty. And that's about all I need to do. The teeth look white, everything looks okay. So I'll hit OK. So that was just a couple little things there. Now my image size right now, I can see it's 542 by 688. That's huge. We just want a little thumbnail on our page. So I'm going to go into image size, and I'm going to scale this down. Now you could just work on one element. You could work on the width. You could just make it like 100 pixels wide. That's enough for what we're working on. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. You could just make it 100 pixels wide. So I'll just put it on 100, and it constrains it so that, if it's a little taller, that's okay. It's not going to stretch it or distort it. So I'm going to make it 100 by 127 or whatever it comes out to. You could just use 100 for width, and then whatever the height comes out to is fine. So I'm going to hit OK. And there it is, and that's not 100%. So if I think I could do Command 0. That's the 100%. That's the way it's going to come out as a finished size on my page. And you could even crop a little more off if I wanted to, even just take a little off the bottom. I could just trim it a little bit more and do image crop. And I'm also going to, making the size get that much smaller tends to give it a little blurry feel to it when it gets to be that small. And one other thing you could do is you could go to Filter, and I go to Filter Unsharp Mask. That's also in Photoshop. And I'll go to Filter Unsharp Mask. In the settings, if they come out like 52 and 15, I'll just make it 52 and 0. The radius doesn't even go down below 2, but that's a good setting, 52 and 0. If you increase the threshold, it kind of eliminates areas that are going to be sharpened, and I don't want to. I'll sharpen everything, and I'll leave it at 52 and 0. And they don't have a little preview button like Photoshop has, but I'll hit OK. And I could go back and look at the before and after, and it gets a little sharper. So you want to sharpen those little thumbnail kind of images just to see detail a little bit more, and that's fine. And now I'm ready to save it. Now you don't have to save over your original. I'm going to make a new version, and I'm going to go File, Save. And as far as the format, anything photographic will save as a JPEG. And the 80 setting is fine. That's perfect. That's what it comes up as default, and that's perfect. So I'm going to save that. And I could give it a name here, and you could use a name like this just so you know. You could just call it like your first name underscore HP underscore pic. So you're making it like your name, homepage pic. You don't have to put the JPEG on there because it's going to put it on when you go to save it. So I'll just put, your first name underscore HP underscore pic. And remember, when we make files, we're not putting spaces in here. And I'm trying to keep everything lowercase because that way that's never an issue. We don't have to worry about upper and lowercase. So, but in place of spaces, we're putting underscores. And I'm going to hit OK. And where I'm going to save this is I'm going to save it in my images folder where my home page was. And that's the one that you downloaded and you made a couple little edits to and then uploaded. Hopefully you did that. So I'm going to go in there and find that. And I think I have it in my CSC 230W1. Remember, that's the folder you originally downloaded, and it's the upload sample folder, or not up, it'll be upload with your name. It had last name and then you changed it to your name, and then inside images. And so I'm just going to save this image there. And you can see I already tried this before just as I was practicing before the video, so I'll just save over this one and replace it. And that's it. You don't have to save this for any reason, because as long as we have it saved, you don't have to keep this original one in Pixlr. And it says, you want to save the image? No, I don't want to save it, so I'm good. So I could get out of Pixlr. Thanks. It's a free application, works well. You could log in and make an account there, and I guess you'll get emails and stuff, but you could still use it for free. So it's a nice application in lieu of using Photoshop or paying for Photoshop.